We don't need no fucking introductions. How you holding up? How are you motherfucking holding up? Ain't nothing wrong with a little wet. You be nice to these cops? You should be nice to them. Some of them are gay. Being queer has no bearing on race, my white publicist said. True love is never affected by color. I curb the flashes of me, crashing across the table to knock his blonde skin from Manhattan to Montego Bay to bear witness to the bloody beatings of brown boys accused of the homosexual crime of buggery. Amidst these newfangled fads and fallacies, the prideful claims that sexual and racial freedom has finally come for all, these under-informed, self-congratulating, pseudo-intellectual utterances reflect how apolitical the left has become. It is now commonplace to hear activists say identities like lesbian and black and radical come across as confrontational. Why can't we all just be people, they ask. Tongue and courage tied with fear, I am at once livid, perplexed, and paralyzed by the politics of erasure breeding insidious amongst us. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, ally, questioning, two-spirit, non-gender conforming. Every year we add a fucking letter, yet every day I become more afraid to say black or woman or talk about my fucking vagina. Every day, under the pretense of unity, I swallow something I should have said about the violence against teenage girls in East New York, or the uninvestigated disappearance of black girls in Baltimore, or the mortality rate of young boys on the south side of Chicago. If the left is the moral compass holding this country accountable, why the fuck do we not show up as a flood of millions for pride? Why do we show up as a flood of millions for pride, but only as droplets at the facilities where brown babies are caught on camera, crying in cages owned by ICE? If we say we believe in freedom, why haven't we shut this motherfucking administration down over that dead toddler floating in the arms of her dead father at the border? 50 years after Stonewall. And this fucking pride party, this annual pride party has become a collective of ambition-driven activists talking out of both sides of their fucking mouths. Even in friendly conversations, I have to rein in the bell Hooksian urge to kill motherfuckers who say stupid shit to me all day. Bitter branches of things I cannot say out loud sprout deviant from my neck. Fuck you, you fucking racist, sexist turd. Fuck you. Fuck you for crying about homophobia while you exploit the desperation of undocumented immigrants to clean your hallways, bathe your children, cook your dinner for less than you and I spend on a tax-deductible lunch. I want to scream from every motherfucking microphone existing. All oppression is connected, you dick. At the heart of every political action in history stood the dykes who were feminists, the anti-racists who were gay rights activists, the Americans who understood that our freedom cannot be moral if we still have our fucking boots on the throats of others who remain oppressed. As the violence against the most vulnerable among us increases, Where are the LGBT centers in the neighborhoods where assaults against trans women and women of color and gay men of color occur most frequently? As the tide of the Supreme Court changes, where are the mega marches to support every woman's right to an abortion? And after they repeal the Affordable Care Act, because they are going to fucking repeal that Affordable Care Act, what are we doing for healthcare for those of us who cannot afford it? You know, HIV/AIDS was a reason for gay white men to act up, fight back. Now, their indifference spells the death of straight black women and imprisoned Latino boys. Apparently, if the tragedy does not immediately impact your own sexuality, you could not give a fuck. Apathetic and individualistic. No one knows where to vote or who to vote for anymore. The forces that have co-opted our marches, the motherfucking forces that have co-opted these marches, the faces that claim to represent us have begun to look like the ones who used to brag about burning crosses and beating bulldaggers and fucking fairies up the ass with loaded guns. The companies that sponsor these events, these fucking pride events, do not honor the way we live or love or dance or pray. Progressive politicians are still dancing the two-step around criminal justice reform and speaking in garbled parables about gun control. 50 years after the Stonewall riots, this nation is being led by the most emboldened, racist, sexist, homophobic, ableist, misogynistic, transphobic, classist administration we have ever seen. For all the landmarks, for all the landmarks we celebrate, to those of us, to those who hold economic and political power on this planet, we are still niggers and faggots and minstrel references for jokes created on the funny pages of a white heteronormative world. The current leftist manifesto, the current liberal manifesto, the current northeastern manifesto, the current white motherfucking manifesto has become a corporate agenda. And outside of that agenda, a young boy dressed in drag is swallowing semen so he can pay for dinner. A woman is beaten every 12 seconds. Count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 seconds. Every fucking 12 seconds, a woman is beaten. Every 2 minutes, a girl is raped somewhere in America. And every fucking June, we gather, stand here, well-dressed and rejoicing. In India, in China, in South America, a small child is still cutting the cloth to construct your new shirt, that new shoe, that old imperialism held upright by the misuse of impoverished lives, while we don all the freedom colors of our beloved rainbow, while we proclaim our commercially induced revelation of sedated joy. Global politics continue to shift away from equality, and the rights our forebears fought for are being whittled away from us like meat being torn from bone. And while we sit here chilling on these artificially preserved fucking lawns, the earth is rapidly roasting our species towards extinction. Gather round right now, ye allies and activists, ye dissenters, all those committed to radical social change. We are not simply at a political crossroads. We are buried knee-deep in the quagmire of a battle for our very humanity. The powers that have always been have already come for the Jew, the immigrant, the terrorist, the communist, the trade unionist. The time to act is right now. The time to act is right now. Now, while there are still ways we can fight this motherfucking administration, now, because the rights we have left are still so very few. Now, because it is the right thing to do. Now, before you open the door to find they have finally come for you. Stand up and do something about the world we're living in.